even in a tornado.
Yeah.
So that has been helpful. And then the biggest thing has been they done pushed me to therapy, child.
I know that's
I never
right.
thought I would be in therapy, and not in a negative way. I've always
Yeah.
been an advocate for it, but I've always been like well-adjusted,
Yeah.
you know.
Hey guys, welcome to Little Black Book 91. Listen, it's a panel time. We're going to have a few people on the show come on and give their opinions. Yes, I've got a few of my favorite people to come on here and give their opinions. Please, I want to just tell the panelists, these are your opinions, but I want to be very clear. Let's be loving. Let's just be loving, okay? All right. Let's watch our words. Let's be careful how we say things. You know, I want to be more conscientious this year as well myself, and make sure that we are talking as if the person was actually here. But we're going to have a real conversation, because this particular interview, I did a part one earlier on. I want to be honest with you, I wasn't really feeling the way that Ash was moving. Do you get what I'm saying to you? So we're gonna have a good conversation. Make sure if you're here today, make sure you're liking, you're sharing, you are subscribing, you're keeping clicking on that wonderful bell button for notification of the uploads. And you guys are on your best behaviors out there. All right, let's get into this particular video, but I'm not gonna waste much time. I'm gonna get a few panelists on the stage. I got El Cid, I got Primetime Andy, I got Seaway, baby. Listen, I'm not gonna waste time. We're gonna get straight into this conversation because there's a lot to chop up and a lot to break down. And I know you guys watched it, but for those of you who didn't necessarily get to see the moments of necessary controversy, there was obviously a part when it came to the interview with Ash and AD. They actually brought up Jessie Wu in regards to the situation, right? They brought up in the point of that they felt like people were trying to just wait for backlash and can't wait for her to break up so they can gloat. I don't think that wasn't necessarily the case for everybody, but I did understand that some people might have felt that particular way as well. And I got my lovely panelists on there as well. So those of you who don't know, listen, I got El Cid here. This is our resident contrarian. If you don't know who she is, she gone contraire if she gone contraire. One thing she gonna do is contraire. Okay. All right. So be ready for her. I got my boy Easton as well. He likes to go from around the way. He's from around the way. You know what I'm saying, Chi? Yeah, he gonna leave here with something at least. And we got our resident Seaway as well. She is our resident TikTok star as well, guys. I hope you guys are following her on TikTok, okay? She does great breakdowns on there. And when she has the time to give us, we appreciate it. She comes on here and she also gives us some eloquent takes that can be a little bit spiky. So if you're ready for those conversations, look, make sure you're liking, you're sharing, and you are subscribing for this channel as well. Okay, I'll play a little bit of the clip so you guys can see it just a little bit, and then I'll get you guys' thought process on this particular episode. I'll say this interview, I should even say, rather than say episode. Let me play the clip here. I know it's not big, but we're just fine.
Particular, but there is a very loud presence on the internet that just it was almost like she was just sitting there waiting,
checking.
You know exactly what I'm talking
daily.
about.
Yes, checking daily.
Let's start strong, ladies and gentlemen. Let's start strong. Let's ask a question. I mean, I think we know who they're talking about, right? I think we know who they're talking about. But I want to get you guys opening thoughts and opening statements. Please give it to me. I want your opening statements. What did you think overall of this particular interview between AD and Ashley? What was your overall thought process? Let me go to El Cid first. El Cid, break us a little bit. What was your overall thoughts on this particular interview between AD and Ashley?
I was hoping you did not pick me, but that's okay. This is a rebranding fail. Absolute fail. They are trying to get us to be reinvested and trying to rebrand Ashley. She has now released herself from Tyler. So ladies, get back, cheering her on. No, Ashley, go sit down somewhere with your cute puppy and leave us alone. I'm sorry. This rebranding is a fail. And I am sorry. I am sickened by the fact that two beautiful African-American ladies are being utilized against two African-American ladies who were bringing the information. That's the part that I'm like, you're being used, ladies.
I hear it strong. Primetime Andy, what's your thoughts on this, man? Original thoughts of the interview? Easton, we don't hear you. We don't hear you. We don't hear you. I'll come back to you. You want to come back to you? All right, cool. Seaway, go for it.
Hey guys. Well, you know, I got to keep it cute nowadays because allegedly I'm a public figure, and so I gotta say things differently nowadays. Unfortunately, what I will say, how do I say this?
Twin, let the chopper sing. Let the chopper sing, twin.
No, I can't. Allegedly,
she can't anymore. She can't anymore. She's a
can't.
public figure now, guys.
Yeah, allegedly, I can't. I can't be, you know, whatever. But what I will say, AD just wasn't the person for this interview. And I also think that when you have people who are male centered, and this interview felt very male centered, even down to the conversation about allegedly, if it is Jessie, right? If they were referring to Jessie, I felt like that was unfortunate because at the end of the day, Jessie, I watched a lot of her videos, and Jessie was not in any way rooting on anybody's downfall. Jessie and Rikki Time, right, on TikTok, were providing information and validly having a critique about children not being spoken about and treated the way they should have been treated. And that was the essence. And the children are not a decoy. They were not a mask for a bigger issue. No one was rooting on their downfall because the downfall was always coming. I think everyone already knew the downfall was coming. She just didn't know the downfall was coming. We all knew. No one had to prey on anybody's downfall. But I was very disappointed that AD and her got together in this alleged rebrand to paint it as if Jessie or anybody was rooting on their downfall. People were validly disappointed in the way the children were portrayed, in the way the children were spoken about. And even in this whole interview rebrand, I still didn't even hear a real apology about the way the children were spoken about. And we can just start it there.
Definitely hear that. Easton, thank you very much, Seaway. First thoughts on the interview.
I think they nailed it out the park with, you know, it is a kind of orchestrated reconditioning to not only Ashley, but also AD, because I think that she's in a place now where she's the poster girl essentially for Love is Blind for Black women. So she fits their demographic. She's engaged currently, and so a lot of people are gravitating towards her as the it girl, where that used to be Lauren. Ashley was supposed to be that, Ashley and Tyler, but obviously Tyler is a scumbag, so we go from there. But I don't mind the fact that people were rooting for their downfall. Like, let's cut the malarkey. People were somewhat, you know, rooting for it, but because one, it was obvious, and two, I think the circumstances around the situation called for it. But as we do as a society, we kind of pedestalize Ashley and thinks that, you know, might have think that she's not the person that she is. And she's shown us constantly, time and time again, that she is that person. And we ultimately saw it in this interview that the deflection, even some of the dismissiveness, how she was kind of invalidating people's experiences in terms of what they saw on TV and what they were telling her. I think it all contributes to why people were flipped on her, one, but also rooting against their relationship too. I honestly don't think nearly as many people care about the kids as much as they claim to be, but we can hash that out later.
I hear you strong. Sean, what's your thoughts on this situation? Your first initial thoughts on this interview.
Yeah, it took me a little bit to get through it. I had to take a nap, wake up, start all over again. I was rooting for Ashley, you know, to at least have, you know, some displays of remorse, but I didn't see it. And I just think that's part of her personality. She seems to be a prideful person. And I think with people like that, sometimes we want to see accountability, but the accountability comes in that individual's outcomes. So those are my initial thoughts.
Okay, strong appetites. I like it at the very beginning. So I think this conversation is really interesting because I think one of the critiques that maybe AD and Ashley were aiming at was that the vitriol or the attack or the actually labeled disgusting kind of behavior was coming from in-house. I'm guessing she means black folk, and I'll play a little bit of a clip so you can actually remember what that conversation was like a little bit, so you guys can see it. Just so you can play a little bit so you can actually see it as well. Here we go.
A way I have ever seen people prey on someone. And
life.
It came from, again, inside the house.
Yes, it did.
And I don't want to say no one's name in particular, but there is a very loud presence on the internet that just, it was almost like she was just sitting there waiting, checking.
Okay. Now, the copyright, they're going to try and get on us if we get too much. Obviously she goes and say obviously like it feels like it's coming from in-house, and obviously then mentions obviously specific names because they have a large presence online, and we know who that potentially is, Jessie and Rikki as well, in terms of their behaviors. I want to know from you guys though, do we feel that Jessie Woo, Rikki, their intentions was to bring down Ashley and Tyler? Like, do you feel like Jessie Woo and Rikki were trying to bring that relationship to a halt, to a standstill, finish them, as Mortal Kombat would say? Was that our perceived thoughts concerning Jessie and Rikki's work that they did on this particular couple? I want to know if everyone wants to go. Yes, see, we go for it.
No, I think what happened with Jessie and Rikki is the same thing we see with people who donate money to GoFundMe's and then people don't do what they want them to do. I think everybody, not just Jessie and Rikki, had an idea of what advocating for Ashley would look like. I think we all, us as Black women, us as Black people, us as watchers of the show, right, wanted to advocate for Ashley, and in our mind we had an outcome that we thought was going to happen. I think what happened was when Ashley took the route that she did, I especially saw this with Jessie. She was trying to pivot but support, pivot but support, pivot but support, and then it just got to a point where it's like, I can't support this. I can't stand beside this. This is not something that I really can rock with. And I think it started to turn. I think genuinely people were more invested because they thought that she was a victim. And then it started to appear as if she wasn't a victim, that she was actually complicit and aiding and abetting. And I think that's when the energy started to shift. I think that's what it is. I think people were trying to zealously advocate for Ashley, and then they started to feel like, wait, she doesn't even want our advocacy. She doesn't want us involved at all. And people are like, hey, if you don't want to be saved, then we just gonna, clearly it's both of y'all the problem. I think that's what happened, Kojo. I don't think people initially were trying to bring her down, for sure. Bring him down from the beginning? Yes, they were. But bring her down? No. No, they weren't.
I like it. Strong start. Ethan, you look like you were ready for it, so I'll go to you. Do you feel like there was that aspect that maybe Jessie, Rikki, maybe even other content creators were looking to bring them down and, were praying for the downfall of that relationship?
I won't say praying for the downfall of the relationship, but I will say I think that Rikki and Jessie, they have a specific demographic. They're really a lot more centered, and even some of their narratives are a lot more femme-centric. And we had all the facts, so Tyler was dead wrong, regardless from the beginning of the situation. I will say that in the beginning, it was more of a puncturing at Tyler, and then Ashley kind of helped maneuver the public opinion or public fact at this point, because everything is public, to basically eating her up as well. I think it was one of those things where, you know how the court of public opinion can either prop you up or it can knock you down. And for a while, Ashley was the poster girl of like the manipulated Black girl whose boyfriend, significant other played her. And not only that, he has a slew of other things going on behind him, and everybody's just praying and yelling, "Get out of there, girl, get out of there, girl." And then now we're finding out that she's complicit, and she's also dismissing everybody else's opinions. And so now the court is about to eat you up. And not only is the court about to eat you up, they got the facts. You have some savages like Rikki and Jessie who got all the information, have the access to get anybody on the interview, and not necessarily, they can also prop it around, oh, it's for the kids. I just don't want to, I'm not believing that everything was for the kids or for the sake of the kids. I think that it was viewership. Also, just the fact that if you go tell me I'm wrong, and Ricky's biggest thing is like, hey, I know all the facts. I got the tea. I got the receipts. If you're going to tell me that, that's discrediting my ability, my job, my platform. No, I'm about to take you out. And that's what they did. Not saying that it was malicious. Well, not saying that it was completely malicious, but I think that after a while, they were for sure going to take their legs out from under them because of their antics.
Fair points. El Cid, how do you see it? Was there a praying for that downfall, that relationship?
Is it praying for downfall, or is it, sister, open your eyes? This man has lied to you from jump. From the pod, he has lied to you. He has not been honest. You are building your castle in sand, and the tide is coming in. They were just trying to tell her, because I'm telling you, they were honestly, you know, I took a lot of hits on this channel because I was not an Ashley cheerleader from the beginning. I took a lot of hits. I was side-eyeing her with the whole fairy tale and all that other stuff. But I don't think they were pushing for a downfall. I think they were like, you need to know all the facts. And if you're going to stay here with this man, understand the liabilities, judgments, and children that he has, you know, attached to him, that you being told a story. And I don't like this whole, you know, it's coming from, you know, within or whatever. The thing is, Ashley keeps telling us she did her own research. Well, whatever research she's doing, certainly didn't dig up enough. She said she was a year in. She said she did her own research. The downfall really, I think, is Ashley just, you know, keep on going at the internet audience or whatever, saying, I know more than you. I'm doing this because I know more. You don't know anything. And then start downplaying journalistic integrity. And it's like, sometimes it gets lost. The message is lost because you don't wish to listen to a messenger. So yes, maybe they could have given her the kernel, but if she was doing her own research, she didn't need to address them. You didn't need to do anything of that, but they certainly could have led you down a path to public records and see exactly what you were getting into with this gentleman.
Hearing you strong. Sean, what's your thoughts on this? Was there a praying of downfall for their
You know,
relationship?
I feel like I'm kind of torn with this part because, you know, certain people on the internet, they just have a salacious appetite for a specific way that they want to see things worked out. So I did understand in some points of the interview where she talked about how people were just coming at her very harshly. So especially in the comment section, and that part I could get. I also could see how some of the things, especially between Rikki and Jessie, like they were digging deep. And as much as these people are public figures, sometimes the lengths that people could go, it can feel invasive. It can feel like you're being attacked. Again, yes, is there an aspect of yourself that you open yourself up to these things when you come on a reality show? Absolutely. But I don't think just having an ounce of empathy, like nobody expects that they're just going to be broken apart in every aspect of their lives, where you lived, your apartments, evictions, all of this stuff is just going to be exposed in this manner. So I can see how that can feel like you're being attacked. I can get it. The part that just still frustrates me though with Ashley specifically and even AD sometimes when you create that narrative of like, oh, the call is coming from within the house, it's like you want to be supported by Black people because you're Black at all costs. And that part I don't like. It's like if you're doing something wrong or if something you're doing is rubbing people the wrong way or you're being arrogant, you're talking about some of y'all, you know, ain't been married and it shows, and you try to like couch that by saying, oh, I'm just saying when I'm in love, I'm in love, you know, and I don't treat a marriage like a relationship. Now you're playing in our faces because that's not what that comment means. And she's too smart to try to like brush it off that way. So I think like, yes, people at the internet do come crazy. We see it. It happens a lot. And people create narratives and make up whole stories, and a lot of times they're not true. Even me and my little self showing up here in your panel, folks will create a narrative and will be way off base. So yes, that gets annoying to me. So I can imagine at her level how frustrating, how annoying it could be, but don't make it seem like you're just this person that's over here trying to be nice and friendly and you're getting attacked. People were actually coming for you because you were being prideful. You weren't acknowledging the horrible way the situation played out. And also, no matter what Tyler said, you referring to those children that are alive and known as sperm donors, I'm sorry. You have to be accountable for that. You shouldn't have let it come out your mouth. I don't care what Tyler said. If he said the moon is black, are you going to repeat it just because he said it? No, you're going to do your own information before you make. And even if it was, I don't think you should refer to kids that way. So my long-winded, you know, explanation of my thoughts on that.
Appreciate it. Another round. Your thoughts on whether people were coming just to, you know, bring down that couple, you know, Tyler and Ashley, were people praying for her downfall? They wanted her just to be finished. They just wanted to bring her down. Is that what the people were trying to do?
There's always people in the world praying negativity on somebody. You know, it's always going to be what they call haters out there. Was majority of the people doing that to Ashley? No. But when we don't support people the way they want to be supported, it's no longer support. It's you're attacking me. You're hating on me. You want my downfall. It's like, no, sis. Yes, like AD said, we're watching the timeline in the past. We're late to the party. But if we were invited, we're speaking in real time. So meaning that in real time, we would be telling you, girl, get out. Or do a little bit more investigating. But these ladies seem to be like mad at everybody but the people that is actually involved in the situation, which is you and Tyler. You want to, you rather point the finger at everybody else and not take accountability, but you wonder why these things are happening. One, you must humble yourself and how you feel about yourself. You're the most intuitive person. This is the 1 in 100 mistakes that I have made, whatever, whatever, whatever. But you talk like you're so perfect that you don't never make mistakes and that we should just give you so much grace because this is the one time you did. It's like, ma'am, this is not the one time you did because you told us a whole story about the ex that you was dating. This is not a one-off. And then you go inside the interview. And this is what I love when people just talk because they truth come out. You go on the interview and just be like, I love this way. I love this way. That means that you continue to love people the same way. And those same type of people continue to find you. Your energy has not changed. So you continue to find people who use and abuse you in a certain particular way. This one just happened to be on national TV. And to be honest with you, when those ladies or whoever they want to address that was coming at them as far as the podcasters are concerned, most of these people were just really warning their audience, hey, look out for this type of stuff. We're using you as a talking point because we all can see it in real time. However, the conversation is not always for you that has already lived your life, did this, done that, and got the t-shirt. This is really for the people that is going through it right now and not recognizing it. Everything is not always about you, Ashley. But this moment is, so we continue to talk about her.
I do want to
Yes,
say
you go.
this. I also think it needs to be noted that because Ashley came off very arrogant, she did not come off humble, and she was coming at Rikki's credibility and Jessie's credibility. They have a right to defend their brand, their platform, and everything. She said on the interview that she didn't know certain things prior to the reunion being filmed or nearly concurrent. Rikki and Jessie and I think Simone were saying all of these things, providing her all this information. She said she had to be a detective. Low key, you had a free one. They did all of the work and they presented it to you. And her response was that they were lying and that they didn't know what they were talking about. To me, when you tell somebody that they are not credible and that's a part of their platform, they have a right to defend themselves. And so I think she also needs to keep that in mind because of her pride and her trying to stand behind a man that was, as now she says, is a pathological liar. She called people who do not put out false information a liar. And I think she has to understand that that's their brand. So.
Well, good points. Let me play another clip to discuss for you guys. Let me play this other clip. Here we go.
Take ownership, and I will apologize for, to the mother of those children for anything that I said that went against anything that she said that was true. Right. So anything that I refuted that was actually true, I apologize because that watered down her story.
Right.
I want to ask this question. This is the only time she actually apologized. I want to ask a question because I'm seeing the head shaking. I want to ask a question. Was this, how do I say this? Was this an authentic apology? Was this the right kind of, is this how you apologize when you believe that you are wrong in something? You know what I mean? Like, I'd rather she didn't even apologize at all personally, but I'm saying, I want to know, is this the way to apologize? Because she just kind of said, obviously, an apology, which was like, I apologize for anything that was said that was wrong in a sense, right? I want to know if it's an apology that is this how we write an apology? Is this her taking accountability? Would we agree? Also, you're shaking your head, but Sean's got his mic open. But go for it, Sean.
Yeah, I had my mic open as soon as you played that clip. I was like, that is like a case study on the worst kind of apology to give. It is super inauthentic. And that's what really, it was like, I really had major disappointment because it's the, if I said anything that discredited, it's kind of like you're just giving a blanket statement. I don't know if Ashley's in PR or she had some type of PR coaching, because this is the way to skirt, really anything that you said. I had all the facts at the time, and that's why I did what I did. It's just couched in, I really am not sorry, but I guess if I invalidated her story, then I'm sorry for that. No, you were rude, you were insensitive, you spoke as if you knew something when in fact you actually didn't, and now you were wrong. So it's like, I just disliked every aspect of the way she addressed that. It came off very disingenuous, very prideful, and arrogant.
Definitely hear that. Yes, Jay, another round. Go for it.
As a Leo, I'm going to say this with my whole heart. That is the most prideful, petty, arrogant, ASS apology I've ever heard. That was not an apology. Like Sean said, that was and if I did, my bad. Like, girl, you were rude to the mother of those kids, period. From the way you addressed them, you should be apologizing for them babies, how you addressed them. Because if anything, you could have said he is a surrogate father. He is a donor to some kids, but they're not donor babies. That's rude as hell for somebody who is so educated and they 30-something plus years. You should know better. But if this is apology that you want to go with, it just lets me know that you're still in an egotistic, non-humble space, and you have not learned anything yet. But you want grace from us. Okay.
Well, we all gave our angles. I would say, as an attorney, this is the most legalese, around the way apology that you give when you're trying to have plausible deniability. You're not trying to really say anything. The entire interview was saying a whole lot of nothing. And here's my thing. If you don't feel comfortable for whatever reason speaking your truth, there was no reason to come on AD's platform. For one, AD did not even do her own due diligence, which I'm sure we're going to touch on in a second. But there was no reason to come on this platform and not being able to speak your truth. And I will say, to AD's credit, she did try to make her kind of stop all that around the way stuff, and it didn't work. But that apology, even in the apology, she's still calling it that lady, the lady, whatever she's saying, and those kids. She's still refusing to say his kids, which to me is saying everything I need to know. You still won't call it his kids. You're still calling it those kids and that lady. The disassociation. She said she's going to therapy next week. We're going to have to unpack that. We're going to have to unpack that. I think, though, I want to say, again, as an attorney, I think what she's trying not to say is she's trying not to unload the clip on everything that Bree has lied about, because she doesn't want it to deflect from her story. I get it, but again, you can't really come on this platform without saying where you lied, he lied, and where she lied. You kind of need to just lay the foundation. To tell my story, I have to tell you about what she lied about, what he lied about, and what I was lying about. And if you're not comfortable doing that, you really shouldn't come on. Because Bree was lying, I'm sure, in my opinion. I don't know. She looked like she was. He was lying, we almost positive, and she was deflecting and not telling the truth either. Until we're ready to talk about it, there was no reason to come on this platform. It really wasn't.
Solid. I definitely hear that. Yeah, you have to call out everybody at that point. I get you. That's fair.
Can I just say real quick, Seaway, I miss your voice and opinion so damn much. I love you being back, girl.
Well, she said my thoughts.
I miss y'all.
I tell you what, this public figure, Seaway, is hitting differently. You get me?
Acting different.
I mean, listen, it's professional, but it's still hitting. You know what I mean? Hey, careful now. Not too much of my good persons out here.
I swear, I have to keep it cute. This is good practice for me. I have to figure out a way to keep it cute. Okay.
You got to get them educated reads, my love.
Yeah, I'm learning. I'm growing. I can do it.
Touch people's hearts. Touch people's hearts. Get them in the soul.
Mm-hmm.
We ain't mad at it.
People care about little old me. I don't know why, but they do. So
you're public now, sis. That's why.
Where my blue check?
You're gonna be joining AD on that couch. That's what you're gonna be doing.
I swear.
Oh gracious. Yes, Ethan, go for it.
There's not much to say on this one. I mean, that was the most pitiful apology I've heard in a long time. Like, it's one of the ones, the fellas give, like, I'm sorry whatever I did, I'm just sorry I did it, and will you just forgive me? We all done did that apology, and that's what she did. And I don't expect too much more from her. I think this was just an opportunity to kind of dip her toe back in the public eye. We know that AD is being kind of used as the new kind of positioner for Kinetics and Netflix and whatever it may be, but I don't think Ashley learned much of anything. I think that she is also, as you heard within the interview, she's deflecting a lot on Tyler, which he does own a lot of responsibility in the situation. But it was basically like, Tyler did this and did this and did this, and it's like, baby girl, you was complicit in a lot of this stuff. You were actually propping him up. I think most of the messages and some of his responses and even some of the interview angles that he took were devised by you, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. But I don't think he's not that smart enough to come up with some of these excuses and lies that he was coming up with. But Ashley had this half-ass apology, and we'll just let it ride.
I'm hearing you. Sid, was that an authentic apology?
even in the body language of giving the apology, it was very defensive to the mother of those kids. I agree with Siwe. It racks my nerves every time she talks about those kids in the manner she talks about those kids. You know, you were married to the man for a year. Those are your bonus children. So again, you know, as you said in your earlier live coach, I don't know how she's unpacking things in her therapy. I don't know how, but the way she is still talking and still being so dismissive, that apology didn't land anywhere. It's still in the cloud somewhere, because the way she said anything that I think was true, and it was still a dig at Bree. It was a dig at her, even while trying to give an apology. And that for me is no apology at all. What she could have apologized is for her own words. I wish to apologize for the manner in which I have spoken about the mother of these children. I wish to apologize for how I have spoken on these children. You know, again, you can apologize without taking a dig at Bri, and you can apologize for your own actions. Because before this live, I went back and listened to that other interview where she was talking about sperm donor babies. And when I say the title or the name of that podcast is For Real, it was vile. I'm sorry, Ashley. You need to assess all that you've done and truly give an apology. And it don't even need to be public. It don't even need to be public, but you know what? You're trying to get back out into the public, and that apology was nowhere near, it didn't land at all. It's still in the clouds. Try again, and then try again.
Woo-hoo. Hear it, I hear it. Okay, so you know, I guess I personally, I mean, like I said, I think very similar to AD with Dear Future Wifey. You know, I'm also from my perspective, I'm realizing that, you know, I can't expect people to be holding people accountable, because this is why they got the interview in the first place. They are safe spaces for those people to be able to share their story without necessarily having that pushback that may taint or, you know, put them in that particular bad light. But I do want to ask a question, obviously, because AD did kind of, I would like to give color. I say that she gave colorful commentary around, like she said, obviously when we talked about obviously the in-house aspect in regards to people who are talking about them aspect. I want to get your perspective on AD, not necessarily her performance as such in terms of conducting the interview. I think we can all have our opinions on that, but I mean in the sense of, did she? Because I don't know. I guess did she go? I don't want to say too far, but I want to say, did she step over that line a little bit in terms of like joining in with almost kind of saying, we know who they are and they've done this, they've done that. You know, did she? And when I say go too far, in the sense of, are you also open now to getting, you know, a few pews your way now because you decided to join in and say what you said about Jessie and Rikki, rather than just being open and saying, okay, you had some things happening, why don't you explain it? You know what I mean? I don't know if I'm making it very clear. I felt like there may have been a bit of added colorful commentary. I don't know in that sense. Let me play the clip for you.
Her sneak dissing.
Yeah, in a sense. I just want to, you know, I'm going to play the clip for you guys. And you can just, again, you know, you can jump in if you want.
Again, inside the house.
Yes, it did.
And I don't want to say no one's name in particular, but there is a very loud presence on the internet that just, it was almost like she was just sitting there waiting,
checking.
You know exactly what I'm talking
daily.
about.
Yes. Checking daily.
Waiting.
Yes, Easton, you opened your mic.
Well, first off, I don't think that, and I say this respectfully, I don't think that AD has the range yet to be conducting these interviews. I think that she kind of breached that journalistic integrity when she let her own personal biases kind of bleed out with how she kind of responded, or even kind of curated that next question, because she either is biased towards Storytime with Rikki and Jess. I think they both have beefs with different people. I think that Ashley has a beef with more of with Jessie, and I think that I mean, maybe AD has a beef with Jessie too, but I think that it might be more with Storytime with Rikki, and I think that the angles are a little bit different. But I most importantly think that AD just doesn't have the range yet. She needs to do a little bit more research, and it made it where the whole conversation was really biased, really murky. I would have preferred it to be where she didn't lean into that, because it takes the accountability off of Ashley for how she conducted herself and some of her actions within how she talked about Bride, the kids, the grandma, their side of the family, and what Tyler did in general. But yeah, I think she should be a little bit more open to criticism, because now she's a public, even more public figure, but she's basically being used by the machine. And we know that there's been a battle between Jessie, Storytime with Rikki, Kinetics, Netflix, all of them. So now you're part of that. So you're on Netflix side. You get to reap the benefits of the celebrity and the stardom and the money and the brand deals. You also got to be accepting of any of the critique and the criticism and all that stuff that comes with it.
You know, I'm glad Easton said that. Personally, I think, and this is somewhere where I'm growing as well, like the interviews and stuff that Kojo you do, and that, you know, I know a lot of people feel like people who could just pop up with the podcast mic and things are easy, but this is a job. Even if you're covering, you don't have to be covering hard-hitting CNN news, right? Even if you're covering reality TV, sports, whatever you're covering, you have to really take your time and prepare. Oh, my light died. Whatever. Take your time and prepare for the interview. And for me, it's not even just the lack of research. It was the intentional lack of research. Like the research was out there, and it was just like, I'm not going to do the research. And then, like you said, with being biased, I think that's also a place where you have to grow in this space. If you're conducting an interview, yes, you can make it friendly and conversational, but you still have to draw a line of being professional and making sure that you're actually having a real interview. That was missed here. Yeah, I need to get another light. This light thing. Y'all go ahead.
Please be careful with that light.
Yeah. I think AD wasn't being honest with us, because we saw pockets of the interview. How do you know there's a loud voice on the internet if you're not listening and you're not hearing that the voice is loud? How do you say that you didn't do any research, but you're talking about what is out there? So I agree with Easton. Technically, y'all, I watched, the chat too. I watched the first 3 of AD's interviews, and then after that, I only watched her interview with Ollie, and I couldn't make it through. I was like Sean, say you got to take a nap and start all over. I couldn't make it through some of the others. I know she's getting better. I know she is, stretching her legs and such, but I don't think she, the chat is saying, I don't think she needs to go after Ashley, but she can certainly look at Ashley's previous interviews and ask Ashley about what she said, how she felt about certain things. There's a certain bit of teeth that was missing. And for me, if you're going to talk about somebody's journalism, you can't be, half doing your own journalism with no research. You are conducting an interview for, on someone, and you're telling me you didn't do any research? How is that showing that you have better journalism? How are you talking about somebody else's journalism and you're not even doing half of it? So that's where my heat is kind of like, but here's my thing. I felt like AD, and Ashley looking at each other, that was like a mirror. Congratulations to AD being engaged to Ollie, but that was like a mirror. Both of them ain't talking too much about the men that they were with on reality television. They weren't talking about that, but we're willing to talk about journalists. We're willing to talk about the information that was brought out. So again, those 2 ladies need to also look at it. You're talking about how hard it is going, as folks coming at you from in the house. You are also here doing the same thing. I think they both aren't as aware of what is happening, or they could be complicit and just want to do it and want to comply with it. But again, don't be talking about other people's journalism and you ain't even doing research.
Kojo, why Ashley sending her bots to your chat? And her cousin.
Put your camera back on. Put your camera back on. See what
I'm eating.
She needs to leave it off and be in PR mode again.
Okay, thank you. Sorry.
All right. Well, let me get us back on track.
Sean is my consultant. He's really gonna keep me on track.
I'm gonna get all back on track.
An hour. It lasted an hour.
Getting back on track now. Yes. Attention. No.
Yes.
Speaking of attention, this is all this was. AD is seeking attention from somebody. Because one thing for sure about me in particular, you're gonna have to indirect me. Like, I need to know for sure you're talking about me. Ma'am, there's a lot of loud voices over the internet. You've been listening to them all. Speak with your chest. If you want to go there, speak with your chest, because now all you're doing is inviting all of their stands to your thing. You're not just directing it to one person. A lot of people feel like they big and they stands feel like they big. So when you start getting attacked from all angles, don't say nothing, because you brought this upon yourself. That didn't even have to be mentioned. But you wanted to segue on how people, so-called journalists, is hating on your relationship and looking for your downfall. Those people weren't even looking for your downfall. Tyler's probably, because he a deadbeat dad. But yours, they weren't looking for yours. You brought that upon yourself. Me and Sean was having this talk the other day on, our NIMS live with Kojo Little Black Book 91. If y'all here, y'all better subscribe, like the channel, do all that wonderful stuff, and go back and watch that video that we did. But we was also having a talk about people injecting themselves up in people's business when nobody was talking to them. Everybody was talking to Tyler. Nobody was talking to Ashley like that. Now, you're going to have your one or two little haters out there. That's what they do. But for the majority of us was not talking to Ashley like that. We was really mad at Tyler for coming on this show, lying about his kids, and to you, who seemingly seemed like a good woman, because we were rooting for y'all to start with. Y'all forget about that part. But y'all want to harp on people trying to be y'all downfall and all this stuff like that, when they were just trying to say, hey, sis, you might want to check yourself next time because you've fallen into some traps. This man got this going on. Just check it out. But you decided to tell us, and you're going to tell us right now, that this was taken wrong. It shows that some of y'all never been married before. Well, guess what? Some of us ain't never been divorced before either. Y'all so-called journalists out there don't know nothing. But what did you do? Find the same information that they already found for you. They found it in less time than you took to find it. You were a year in and you still didn't even find that information. But you mad at them. So, whatever come your way. That's all I got to say.
And the other thing that, disappointed me a little bit with AD, because up until this interview, I did enjoy the interviews that she had with other folks. And I think what she did was she tried to make her story and some of the flack that she got, or some of the negativity that she got, the same as Ashley. Now, I do, on AD's side, when people were coming at her for her looks and kept picking at her about her hair and this and that, the hair wasn't this, the eye, whatever, I agree. That part is hateful, especially coming from your own people, just constantly tearing her down about her looks and things like that, or how she did her hair, or all that other stuff. So that part I understood, but that wasn't the same flack that Ashley got. And I think that she too quickly tried to pull Ashley in and make their stories the same when their stories were very different. even down to what happened with Clay. Actually, Clay left AD at the altar and did her a favor. You know, as much as the crap that he was doing behind the scenes or whatever, he still he proved himself to be different, not as bad as a Tyler. And ultimately, I just think that Ashley leaned into that narrative to give herself a pass and to use some of the nastiness of some of the people that did even come after her as a scapegoat for her saying, hey, I was too loud and wrong. You know, because I think that's what we all were looking for a little bit from her, because she was very loud and wrong. You know, the wrong and strong narrative. She still continues to do that. So for me, it's hard for me to kind of really go so far with empathy for her when she consistently, whether it's the apologies, whether it's, you know, her making excuses for why she did what she did, why she reacted to people the way that she did. It's hard for me to like give her too much empathy, because she consistently deflects and pretends like she didn't play a role in some of the things that happened.
And it's interesting for me, and probably going to lead into my next question about the machine. I covered AD and Virginia, and I covered AD and Ollie's interview. I did a full breakdown on both of those interviews. If you go on my channel, you'll know there's only one video that's still up, because I got a message and I was told to take it down or it's going to be a copyright strike. Now, I rarely get a message. Now, if you get a copyright strike, usually you get a company that will tell you, okay, look, you've used too much footage. They're going to take away the monetization, and they're going to take the money from it, or they'll tell you need to edit it, parts of it, because you've taken too much stuff for it. When I saw that, I got a message, I got an email saying, look, we won't copyright strike you, but if you delete the video within a certain amount of time, we'll be okay. That's when I realized we're working against a machine. That video that I did of Ollie and AD, I was actually in support of them. But I also did highlight that there are some things that they may need to work on. It wasn't bad. I actually said there was some good. I said overall, it's really good. The whole interview that I talked about them was really good. But that's when I realized we're in a machine, because I said, wait, the interview of Virginia and AD is a 2-hour breakdown where I consistently use their footage. Like, I didn't stop it and be like, oh, every 10 seconds. Like, there's 30 seconds, there's 40 seconds, there's like a lot of stuff in there. And I said, there's a machine. I said, there's something a bit odd here, because your system should have picked up that I had another video that I've used your content, and it's not come up. But the one I spoke about AD and Ollie, that one's come up. I said, why is that? That's a bit weird. So I want to ask a question. Obviously, do we feel fantastic. Jessie was going live at 10. Fantastic. Listen, we're going to wrap ours up before then, because maybe I'm going to be on that side too. Okay? Because I ain't going to miss it for nothing. I'm sorry. You know what I mean? What time is it now? We have to make sure that we don't miss it. You know what I mean? Like, I know we got the people's here, but we all need to migrate. Okay? Because Jessie, we're going to be at live at 10. We all going to be on that side of the internet. So, it's 9. Okay. So we got a bit of time. Fantastic. Because by 10, we're going to wrap this up. Okay? So we're going to be over that side. But yeah, so I want to know if potentially though, whether this is going to fall into the category, because we know Jessie Woo was very vocal about Mr. What's his name? COLEEN? Is it COLEEN? COLEEN? You know me and names, and it's not nothing racial. I just get everybody's name wrong. But is it COLEEN? Is it COLEEN? Chris COLEEN. So you know, Jessie Woo was very vocal about the mistreatment of Black women specifically on that show. In fact, we even had a conversation, and I remember me and Issa were teaming up trying to say we had the opposite view, whatever, about how there are Black men out there, but they choose the wrong kind of Black men specifically. But she spoke very powerfully and potently about Chris COLEEN and the choices that are being made, about the types of men that are being chosen for this particular show. But Jessie spoke about the Black women getting done dirty, right? And I'm wondering if you guys feel like this may be one of those things where now this is what I call espionage. I call it the Trojan horse. You know, I call it the destabilizing of governments, you know, that kind of guerrilla warfare that people will be engaging in when you are a certain power, you know what I mean? And I wonder if they are using AD at this point now to underhandedly destabilize, an op, as they would say, when it comes to Jessie and Rikki in this sense, by using one of our own to attack another of our own. I wonder if that's, if you guys understand that perspective. Yes, I see some nodding of heads. Who likes to take this on? Yes, Elsie, go for it.
This is the response that Chelsea couldn't do. Because Jessie also came after casting and what Chelsea was doing, because she was part of casting and was, at one reunion saying, she helped with casting. So when Jessie has been on her neck, and she knew, and Netflix knew that if she came at Jessie, it would have that undertone. Again, even though, her husband, Kwame Alex, as he is, it will still have a certain tone. So now I've got to use this. You have a perfect storm with AD. Yes, Jessie was, fine with AD at first, but then Jessie was pointing out some stuff about AD. I'm not going to rehash it. Y'all could certainly see some things I agree with, some things I don't. I'm not going to come on here and talk about, those ladies' looks or anything like that. But her dating habits, when AD went and say she went on a date with Matthew in her season after she and Clay were done, Jessie was on her neck about it. And again, AD had her issues with Jessie Woo. So now here's Ashley too. So now we're using these two ladies to come at Jessie Woo in a manner that Netflix and Chelsea and the others who wish to come at Jessie. So again, that's why I said earlier, y'all are talking about the loud voices and it's coming from within the house. Well, ladies, you are being used inside the house to be a loud voice, against two other ladies of the same demographic. You gotta open your eyes. And even if you were going to do this and talk about it, you have to also realize the optics. As Siwe said earlier, there is a way you gotta present yourself. And yes, I see the machine. I see it because they are trying to feed us, even though they're trying to feed us Ashley again. And don't be surprised if she don't pop up on, Perfect Match or whatever. But they're trying to feed us the across the pond, Ali AD, love story, Love is Blind, crossing international boundaries. They're trying to feed us that. But we clock it and we see
it. Interesting indeed. Yes, Ethan.
I just was gonna say, I hope that the viewers, and especially the Black viewers, understand the games that are being played, especially with some of the contestants. Like we've all done our own kind of research. They pick people based off of the idea that they can use them in different shows. So you see Kinetics is the umbrella, and you have Love is Blind, you have Married at First Sight. I think you also have a 90 Day Fiance. But for Married at Love is Blind, they expect the people that they pick to be able to be on Perfect Match, which is another show underneath the Connects umbrella. I hope that people are picking up that, these are caricatures that aren't really looking for love. Like the premise that the show is looking for love is not that anymore. This is a money-making machine. This is the thing that has huge activations. Like I went to the reunion in Austin, like they put so much money behind this and blew this thing up. This isn't season 1. This is into season 10 and beyond. And so I just want everybody to understand that you are being influenced at some capacity. This isn't like headcanon or conjecture at this point. And so if you're going to watch this going forward, do it with a little bit of grace and patience for yourself, because you might get triggered by this. And I think that by some of the things that are going to be happening in future seasons, but this is a machine attack, not only on Jessie and Storytime with Rikki, but also on the viewers as well, because they playing in y'all face and on our face, and we either we continue to contribute to that with our viewership, or we either make enough think about it that they change what's going on, because enough is enough.
Absolutely. Shout out to the super chat. Hey Kofi, it's Afua here. Panel is T. Love that. Appreciate you. Kofi's my dad though, by the way, but not me. But do you know my dad maybe? But they do sometimes get Kofi as a name on here, so it's not a problem at all. Yes. Thank you for that, Ethan. I appreciate that. And El said, Sean, what's your thoughts on this? Is this a machine attack? Could it be considered that? Maybe it's not a machine attack. Maybe we have to look at it differently. How do you see it?
Well, I can't even. I wish I had an alternative opinion. This is a business, and it's a machine. And whether it's Kinetic, whether it's Netflix, all of these things are designed to generate money and revenue, and to push narratives and positive narratives, sometimes using people with negative narratives just to draw attention. But all of that to say, it's just to drive business. And anybody that is in the way of that, whether it's unfortunately Kojo, you as a content creator, or anyone that is going to direct people's attention from where they want it, they're going to do that. And we've seen that on so many different levels. Even with other people's content creators who shall remain nameless, but they have a famous dating show that has migrated to Netflix, and all of a sudden they just started recently within the last month striking people's content, right? And keeping people from reviewing the channels, likely because there was a lot of backlash from some of the topics, right? So they wanted to squash it. So that is, when we live in a capitalist society, money reigns, money rules. And if you are perceived or otherwise getting in the way of that revenue stream, you're going to be blocked.
I just heard blocked. I definitely hear that. Definitely. Yeah, another round.
This is not just a machine issue. This is a we need to humble you people issue. This is what we've been seeing since way back in slavery day. And I know y'all don't want to like to have that conversation and all this stuff like that, but this is a technique that has been going on for years. And with, like you say, they'll use your own to get at you. Because it's a double whammy for me. I get to take your money, make money off of you, while having you fight each other and not pay attention to me. AD is stuck in a clause, a contract, whatever it is. And it reminds me of back in the day when people on Real World and college road rules and all that stuff like that. Ran into a few of them one time, and I had talked to him about stuff and life and all that stuff. And he told me that they were basically locked into a contract for 10 years. To where they couldn't do anything else. This person was even before they had invented the competitions. See, the competitions was just a ploy, so they all won't do this kinetic type thing and start trying to strike back. I got to keep you paid. But it was all a cycle just to continue to make money off of these people while they was getting pennies on the dollar. AD, unfortunately, is being used, and she don't realize that. Now you drag in Ashley up into it because the whole the setup is all, would you get back on a reality TV show? Would you do a dating one again? Are you still interested? Yeah, you'll be on the show. We know. And what they want to do to the rest of the content creators out there is to basically tell us, don't speak on it. Don't uncover the dirt that we got going on, the missteps that we do or whatever as a company. Don't help these people make more money than they making. Don't do any of that, because every time y'all dig up some dirt, it costs me. So this is a machine thing, but it's also a humbling thing for some people out there to try to keep their mouth closed. They try to force you. And I'm not even saying humbling in a nice way. I mean it like they're trying to force your hand into silence.
Seaway. I don't know if she's there. I know she went away and came back, so I think she'll come back. Okay, she'll come back. I know she will. But yeah, definitely I hear the perspectives. I think even as I'm hearing you guys and ladies speak more about it, I think it's making me feel making me realize how deeper it is. You know what I mean? Like, because when I said it, I was like, yeah, but I think when I'm listening to you guys say it and ladies say it, I'm now deep, and it's actually deep. You know, like to like. You know, and I say that because obviously my own interactions, and listen, I'm gonna say it, I don't really care because I just my money doesn't come from them. Okay, all right, I'm gonna still review your shows and I'm gonna still make my money. You know what I'm saying to you? But like I said, like I think a lot of times, like for instance, like myself, Jessie Wu, there's a few other content creators I'm sure out there too, right? It's almost like when we said about Married at First Sight. Married at First Sight, the exact same thing, right? But it's all connect, right? Now they had what we call wholesale. Okay, they ended their end of season on a particular platform and had a wholesale and said, listen, everything's at 60%, let's buy it out and we finish. Yeah, that's why they were offering out these interviews all of a sudden, right? Okay, and even then, let me tell you the honest truth, I applied for everybody and I didn't get everybody who I applied for. And I got the same treatment I had last year and the year before that, which is the same treatment. And me personally, I just tell it what it is. I don't like lying about it and I don't want to play the game. I'm not about playing the game. The Lord my God has given me a gift. I don't need to play this game. The reality of the situation is, right, if you ask for something and you say you're going to give it, then you should give it. But when they're playing their own game, they're trying to control the narrative. What they've realized is, especially with Black content creators, is not just that we are different when we are doing things and doing the content, is actually the fact that we have a sway. And what they don't like is that those content creators also can sway opinions away from their particular narrative, right? And so once you realize that, and like Sean was kind of saying as well, it's a money thing as well for them. But it's also not just a money thing. Honestly, I go back to what Jay was saying. It is a slavery thing. I feel like there's an entitlement on them that does this. It's more than just money. It's power. You know what I mean? Like we talk about, patriarchy and misogyny. It's there. I ain't gonna lie to you. Okay. Well, we can also talk about the fact that the racial components don't actually go away either. Just because we've seemingly become a bit more equal, it hasn't gone away. And I feel like it's still a power play even now. You know what I mean? Because you let people go into Nick Vile, and I'm going to ask myself why. I'm not saying you shouldn't. I'm saying, but why? Why? Why can't they go into other Black content creators who were able to interview them, and give these guys a voice and a platform to say the absolute truth? And that's why I find it odd. I look and I say it's odd. And that's why I found AD's behavior odd, because like the running commentary that she went on to, I was like, wait, AD, where are you going? Why are you running? You're going down a particular lane, baby. Listen, like if you want to talk about it, just ask what she felt about it, as she felt about it. But then you involve yourself and add your own commentary. I was like, it's given your money's being paid by them, and you now got to start jucking and jiving and dancing for them. Now I may be wrong, and I'm always happy to say I'm wrong. You know what I'm saying to you? But right now, it don't look like that to us at the moment, just because of the way that it went down. And I do feel like they're now trying to bring our good sis, Ashley back into the fray, because they asked her a question about if it should be another show. I said, are they trying to bring her back into? Listen, I'm not concerned with the art. If they want to, that's fantastic. That's their machine. I'm not against that at all, by all means. It's fair for them, But what I don't like is that it. And my last point on this now, and we'll go into the next part. The thing I don't like about this is like. The part I don't like is that the tropes are being thrown out, right? So, like, for instance, I know it's very clever the way that AD's coined this term in-house, right? It's a very clever way of saying it's Black folk business. So fair play to her, because, you have to have some code words, and I respect it whilst you're in there. But it's saying, obviously, the in-house, we're the most critical. And I'm like, are we? No, I know we can be. Don't get twisted, but are we? You know what I'm saying to you? Like, I said, are we? And I said, okay, is this something that is your own thought? Is this something that's being pushed now by the machine as well? Again, are they propagating something towards us? And that's why I'm a little bit concerned. I'm like, what's next for AD now? What are you going to push next? What are you going to go into next? And Yeah, I think I'm just a little bit. I'm a little bit concerned for AD. She's in a difficult position now. Your money's coming from them, and you're moving. You're gonna have a wedding. You're gonna have 2 weddings. You're gonna move from Charlotte to London. Like, that's a lot of fear when you're having a lot of money. Remember the conversation with AD and Ollie? This is why, and I actually deleted the video, by the way. I actually, when I deleted it off my YouTube, and I actually deleted it off StreamYard, so I can't even download it again. I don't really care. I said I don't really care. But that video I was talking about, like them moving, I was like, oh, it's great. But now I'm thinking about, I'm like, hold on a minute now.
That whole relationship.
Sorry, you go for it. You want to say something?
The whole relationship. I mean, I'm all a believer in love, and I'm sure there's it's authentic in its essence, but there's also a financial tie of being with somebody who is on another reality show. Your stardom and the clout that you have of being with somebody like Ali, who is from the UK, who was very popular on his season, and y'all power couple this thing up. It changes the dynamic of this because you're tied in, and most of your I guess brands and stuff like that is coming from things that are working with Kinetic. I mean, at this point, everybody, if you're a watcher or viewer of Love is Blind or any of the Kinetic shows, you should think of all the contestants as potential influencers to potential demographics. So you can see whether it be Deepti, whether it be even guys like, I mean, Brent, Brent's an influencer, Tiffany's an influencer, and they might use their influence in a particular way, some for good and some for not so good reasons. But it does pay to be in a relationship with somebody who's on a show. You are married, and now she's almost kind of crippled by Kinetic because, everything that she does from now on, any brand deals that she could potentially work through or accumulate, probably is going to be associated with Love is Blind or some type of Kinetic deal. So that makes things a lot more interesting now.
I'm here. Can y'all hear me? Yeah, I think y'all kind of brought it all together. When I first heard it, I was very taken aback that, the type of energy that AD in particular had for Jessie and I guess Rikki. Ashley having that energy wasn't as surprising because, she got dragged and, her business was out in the street. I'm sure she mad at a lot of people. But yeah, I do think it's one of those things that it's a conversation that needs to be had, like staying independent versus like going the route of being kind of in-house. When you decide to be in-house, and whether it's Kinetic or whether it's another major corporation, you're going to have to kind of sell a bit of yourself. And I do think it's unfortunate that, already she kind of put that energy, unfortunately, towards Jessie. And I don't know where it ends, because all Jessie and Rikki did was spill tea that maybe the show didn't want out. And if the response is to treat them like they're villains, I don't think that's a good look. And if the idea was for a rebrand, it's not a good rebrand, because we're all able to see, we know what happened. But yeah, she's in a tricky situation. And that's probably, who knows why Lauren and Cam are not involved anymore. But, sometimes the money ain't worth it. Sometimes being tied ain't worth it. It's not. Because Kojo, the same thing. If you became on their PR list, if you had to do their interviews, you wouldn't want to switch up, but you may have to. Would that be worth your brand? These are the type of tough decisions people have to make. Is it worth me being on their PR list because I'm not independent no more? So, yeah. Just a thought.
No, it's a great thought. Go for it, Elsid. That's a great thought.
Looking back, and what I did was I looked back. Do you realize they are from the last season of Love is Blind, which is Minnesota? AD has more of the cast on her show than where Ashley did her interview before. So they're also expecting maybe AD to carry this of the cast and interviewing. So a whole lot of pressure is going to be on her and her show's success. be it here and, you know, as you said, moving across the pond whenever they do. So again, there's a lot of pressure being applied there as well, pressure for success. And while today, you know, Ashley may give her the numbers and views that she's looking for, I still do not see it catapulting to the success in which they're hoping for.
Well, I think it's sorry, go for it, Sean. Go for it. Yep.
Yeah, no, I was just going to just reemphasize the point is that I think at times like these, it should open our eyes to the systems that exist, right? You know, and they're there for a reason. And they've been designed that way to keep people in a particular way. And um, capitalism can exist without patriarchy, can exist without systematic racism. You know, all of those things are all interconnected. And I think, you know, it makes it difficult because you have to pick and choose, right? Because we like the idea of buying into capitalism because that means if we buy into some of that idea, then we have access to money that we get to live our dreams out, but they're sacrifices, right? And somebody's going to get stepped on. And somebody always has to be the little person. When you look at it, when you step back and look outside of it, no matter where you are, capitalism doesn't exist if somebody's not the bigger, if you're not stepping on somebody. Racism doesn't exist if there's no other that you can other. All those things exist for a reason, and these companies profit off of our desires. And I say us because to a certain degree we all participate, because all of us want some level of success, all of us want to be successful. But when you look at it big picture, it does mean that you have to be willing to do something. And I think when it becomes so blatant like this and what we see happening now, I think it's more blatant because people are, you can see the wheels moving if you pay attention. You can see corporations putting somebody at the forefront to say, you've been complaining that we don't have any black people at the forefront, because remember, that was the narrative for quite some time, is there were no black people that were getting put at the forefront. There were no black people that were getting opportunities to interview these folks. There were no black people that were getting prominent opportunities on these reality shows. They were getting and if they were, the narratives were bad. So now we're going to give you your one, or we're going to give you your two, but stay on brand, you know, keep the messaging the same. Don't go off course, because the narrative has to be protected. The machine still has to keep going. And, you know, I think it just sucks that I really just regret that AD leaned in a little bit too much with this. The call is coming from inside, because now that's almost like a dog whistle to say anytime a black person is critical of someone, then now you're not being supportive of another black person. You're not being celebratory. You're being a hater. And a lot of the backlash that Ashley got wasn't anybody being a hater, wasn't anybody trying to tear her down. It was people trying to say, hey, listen, we see where you're going. This is dangerous. This person is a liar. It's been proven time and time again. But she, instead of saying, hey, you know, I hear you, I'm not there yet, she decided to double down and then go on the attack.
Yeah, listen, you guys are making some solid points here, man. It's making me really think, you know. I think, you know, this is, like we always say, entertainment's a devil's game, man. You know what I mean? So there's always a trap that's always waiting around the corner. But I love that point that you made there, Sean, and as well, because I think, you know, that we've given you one of your own now, so keep quiet. we've given you one of your own now. Let's keep quiet. You know what I mean? Like we got Nick Viles and then we got AD. Yeah. What else do you want? Yeah. DEI working its best. So you know, I definitely hear that, and you know, I think I think we all are happy for AD to be there. I think personally, I am happy for AD to be there. I wanted to keep getting more of the interviews. I don't have a problem with it. My only thing was, honestly, this situation was this one with Ashley. You know what I mean? Like, it was just that I just didn't feel like she needed to do this. Like, you know what I mean? And silently but loudly, indirectly but directly call out, you know, certain content creators for doing what they do best, which is content create. Number two, also telling the truth. Like, you know what I mean? And then calling them disgusting. And it adds to the situation. I think this is why I don't know about the other people there, but for us specifically as Black folk, we don't mess with this stuff. If you like, we don't mess with it because it's like, hey, listen, you saying all this you're saying, but the information came out and the information proved that Lila was a liar. He's a liar. Okay, the information showed that Brian might have been a little bit, and information showing that actually you also are culpable. And there's nothing that the corporation, the machine, AD, 2 times 4, 5, 6, 7 different ADs, 8, 9, 10 different Black women come out and say anything. It won't change anything because the truth has come out. And for us, that's very important. You know what I mean? It's happened with the SK situation. They did it with SK. They did it, with Clay situation. When they start calling it out for what it really is and start saying things, we gonna go with it. Like, oh, that's the truth. Okay, that's the truth. We gonna go with it. So I think it's just a fear of the loss of power. And that can not necessarily be racial. That can also just be, it's like, as you said, Sean, that could be economical and not wanting to lose the direction and the ability to control, which is what they had with Married at First Sight. We saw that too. And we see that also with Love is Blind and the shows that are attached to Kinetic. They don't want to lose control. They're doing their absolute hardest. That's why they have lawsuits against them. They do not want to lose control. Everything's about control. But after a while, like I've always said, that you can only control people for so long before their back's against the wall and they start biting back. Now, it might take a couple of seasons, but they're going to get there. Very soon, you're going to get the same things with some of these other shows where people are going to start complaining about whether it's the conditions of work, whether it's the contract himself, whether it's we are forced to do this. There's always an aspect because oftentimes there's manipulation involved in these situations. You know what I'm saying to you? But that's the devil's game, and that's the devil's entertainment. So it is what it is, and you gotta work with what you work with. You know what I mean? Okay. Our last okay, I guess parts of sections. I want to just end up more on a positive. Then let's. How can we encourage Ashley and AD, specifically more Ashley? How can we encourage her? Because I think we've spoken quite a bit of what she has done and what we feel like has been a problem with it, but how can we encourage her? How can we speak some life into our sis as well, right? Because I think we've eloquently, gathered her together. But as we've gathered her together, let's also give her a word that will be positive for her to lean on and begin to walk right. Stay right, stay right, stay right, stay right. My favorite couple sing that song. I would love to hear some positive feedback for them to go along with. Who would like to go? Yes, Elsa, go for it.
Okay, to be positive for Ashley. Ashley, when you started the pods, you had certain boundaries. You had certain things you were not going to accept. You were not going to accept, a gentleman with children. You weren't going to accept a list of certain things. I think get back to that. Get back to the Ashley that was very hopeful, wide-eyed right before the pods, but armed with more knowledge now, armed with more information that you will take to your next relationship, so you are not closed off from love. Please try, I'm not saying you cannot find love on reality television, but please try and give reality television a little bit of a rest. Discover yourself. You're going to therapy. So yes, tap back into the Ashley before Love is Blind and the pods, the beautiful young lady we were first introduced to. Keep to your standards that you had before then, and keep to your boundaries. But certainly you are going through the right thing, your process of your divorce. You are discovering yourself. You are becoming single again, and just be hopeful for that forever relationship.
I have one. I have a few. My advice would be decenter men. Ashley must decenter men. And she also has to realize that her pride will be the death of her in every situation. I say decenter men because it was very, very jarring when she said the thing that she missed the most about being married was being a part of the wives club. That disturbed me. It disturbed me, and I was telling my husband this. It disturbed me because all of my friends that are married that aren't what I would call male identified, none of them, if you ask them about what they like about being married, has anything to do with a wife or a club. Okay, nothing. Yes, would I be lying if I would say being married doesn't come with certain perks, especially for women in society? Would I be lying if I said that people don't give me certain deference because I'm married? So yeah, that all exists. But to say that, that is what I would miss about being married the most means that I did a lot of things for appearances, weddings, dresses, and things that don't matter. And to me, when you do things for the wrong reasons like that, you're going to be focused more on the appearance of marriage than you are going to be actually finding the right life partner to find you a marriage. And to me, that all stems back to decentering men, decentering the pride that you have by being with one, decentering this idea that if you're married, you're better. That even goes to the language she used when people were trying to help her out and they said, well, get you a husband. If you had a husband, you would find all these things. That is not the way to go about it. And that is what I would say. The other thing I would say is you by being prideful, you're not able to really clock your own tea and move forward. There can be no redemption without actually really working on what you actually did wrong. And to me, Ashley is trying to heal, but she's not being fully honest. And actually, she still has so much pride over the situation. You can't heal like that. Because if this interview would have said, you know what, the way I spoke about those kids was wrong. The way I was willing to cover a man at any extent was wrong. The way I even, clapped back at women who were trying to help me was wrong. If all those things was wrong, I was worried about the wrong thing, and now I'm trying to be working about the right thing. She really could have had a redemption arc, but she didn't do none of that in this interview. So that would be my positive motivation and suggestion.
I guess I'll go. It's a little bit along the lines of Seaway, but I think I have a different angle with Ashley, and it comes from her beginning, her time on Love is Blind, is that she, especially whenever Tyler originally told her about the kid situation and how it messed up the story that she had in her head about Tyler and how they got together in their relationship. I think that she's very focused on a story, and that might bleed into her career, her accolades, the things that she's achieved, and creating that kind of that wall has probably warped her mind into thinking that she's better than people because they haven't accomplished the things that she's accomplished, done the things that she's done, made the money or traveled or have the degrees that she has. And I think that this was just a very this was a humbling experience. This was a little humbling experience because she could have been in a full long relationship, and a divorce could have resulted in her losing half of her finances and her jobs and stuff like that, or her house or something along those lines. But I think that, God spared her in a way, and it's like, hey, this is your time to like pull it back together, because how she was kind of spitting off at people who were just trying to give her advice and give her suggestions isn't the most becoming of somebody who I would think has all these accolades and is of this stature. I hope that I would maybe motivate her, or maybe nudge her to really sitting back to your childhood, because I think a lot of the childhood stuff keeps putting dampening areas in her life, whether it be with her father, whether it be with her mother. And I hope that she can kind of like heal that first before she gets into another relationship. And also don't, be a pawn. I think that going into this rebrand and being kind of played by Kinetic is just going to put you in another position with another guy, possibly on another show, maybe Perfect Match, that will put you in the same position and get you in that, also the same fairy tale story that you have in your mind about how you can meet somebody on this show and y'all can walk away in love and maybe be a influencer, like a relationship influencer or something along those lines. So I hope that she understands the play. I hope that she does the work to heal those child wounds, and most importantly, don't get played by Kinetic.
Yeah, go for it, Sean.
Yeah, I was gonna say that you know, the good news is that she's moving away from that situation, right? So the positive, the upside is that it may have taken her longer, but she is no longer with Tyler, and that is the best news. Is that she's removed herself from someone that means her nothing, no, you know, means her nothing but harm, right? And next steps is continue to heal, continue your journey of healing. And, you know, as much as we would have liked our or her to see her accountability, she is dealing with the accountability of from her actions every day, because ultimately she has to live with the choice that she made, the heartache that she now has to deal with, you know, based on her choosing to continue to stay with somebody like Tyler. So, you know, again, like I said in the beginning, sometimes we would prefer for, you know, the accountability to be out loud, but it's always going to be in the outcomes. And, you know, she is dealing with that, and I wish her well on her journey of healing.
Another round. Oh, I know she's.
You know, you know, I'm here. Words of positivity. Positively don't speak on things you don't know. That would be my words. You know what I'm saying? Did she file though? Because she said that by the time this aired, and she gave a date, May 21st, 2025. Today is that date. Did she actually file? Do we know?
I don't know. Actually, it's saying that. Yeah. Well, she can file. She can file after that time, isn't it? So it's not. It's not yet time yet. So it's 11:59.
She gave a date of that by the time this
Yeah.
came out, May 21st, 2025. She would have filed.
23:59. 23:59. She had to wait for 23:59. That's what she said.
I
She had to wait for 23:59. So it's not there.
I don't know. I don't know Virginia court laws, how long they stay open, but okay. Yeah, you know, for the people that care to be warned and stuff, because, you know, we shouldn't be giving feed to people who've already been through it. So, you know, but for anybody else that find themselves in this type of situation or feel in their gut that they're dealing with somebody that is not completely honest with them, do whatever necessary research that you need to do to soothe or heal or calm that voice within, so you won't be caught up in this. This is a learning lesson for everybody else. Since the people that was involved don't really want to learn their lesson, you can look at this account and say, you know what, let me not take the same steps. Now, will it stop you from having the same outcome? Not necessarily, but at least you might not have the same heartache that she had. So that's my advice to y'all.
Well, listen, the time is almost up. And I wanted to say, you know, it's been an enthralling conversation. I'm sure we'll probably be back tomorrow when Jessie decides to go live today, because it's probably going to bring up some more stuff that's going to happen. You know, I want to be fair and say, you know, Ashley, look, you know, this is still a safe space. You know what I mean? It's just an accountable one. You know what I mean? Like, it's still a safe space. It's just an accountable one. And I want you to know that, listen, look, you are entitled to tell your story how you want to tell it. By all means, live your life as you want to live it. There are some people on the internet that are disgusting, and I'll be honest and true with you. I don't care what you've done. They are disgusting people on the internet, and I will never back them. And when they say some of those things that they're saying to you, right? You know what I mean? This is not one of those spaces, but I do want to make that very clear that anybody who, you know, and I say it again, because we've got 637 people on this live, and some people are going to be listening quietly. If you're one of those people who go into people's DMs and you message them and you talk about how bad they are, how nasty they are, and you start insulting them, I want to say you need help. You know what I mean? And get it fast, because it's an illness that you're dealing with. You know what I mean? Like, stop doing it. It's not nice. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's dangerous work, man. You know, you don't know what that can affect people's mental when we do those things, right? I don't believe that's most of my people on this platform, but I'll just say that obviously from us as a platform, right? I heard what you said about the delivery and the way we say things. I have to be accountable, and I'll take that on board. You know what I mean? Like, I want to make sure that I'm also accountable in that space, and say, you know, that, you know, I just feel like for you, I want you to just take a few minutes and take a beat. You know what I mean? Take a few minutes, take a beat. Okay, all right, yeah, calling her job as well, which is just crazy behavior, but honest. Take a beat.
Can I
just
talk about
really
that? Can we say that?
Go for it.
That now, I haven't really felt bad for Ashley yet, but I will say, just seeing, you know, how far people take it. They take it really far on TikTok. I've seen how far people take it. Even with me personally on Twitter, and I'm not even on Twitter. Y'all are doing too much. People are doing too much. Even if y'all think that Ashley is a really bad person for what she said about the kids and even what she's still currently saying, you have a right to feel like she's a bad person. But trying to take someone's livelihood when that's not what you would want to be done to you is crazy. If she's a bad person, then she's gonna have to deal with that with her maker, whoever she goes sees at the end of the day. You get what I mean? Like people gotta. It's like we're losing our humanity. I don't have no problem if she comes on a podcast. Y'all get in the comments of the podcast and say what you feel. You know what I mean? She opened herself to the door to the podcast. She opened herself to the comments. You can say what you want to say about your opinion of the podcast, but taking it that far, y'all. And you're right. It's not Little Black Book people. I've never experienced that here. I don't think that's the type of audience that you've cultivated. So we're really not even talking to the right audience here, because I think people here don't do that. But yeah, I just had to say that. It's crazy to me.
No, I'm glad you said it. It does need to be said. I think we do need to, because you know, as much as I think that Ashley did wrong, you know what I'm saying to you, if they give an opportunity and someone was against Ashley, I'm gonna ride for Ashley too. You're still our peoples, you know what I'm saying to you. So at the end of the day, I don't want to see that thing happen. I don't want to see someone losing their livelihood, losing their job, or you know, people calling their job for what? Stop it. Okay, all right. Like you said, Siwa, I think it's fine. We're in our chat, we're in our lives. You say your piece there, but if you're taking it beyond that point where you're going into DMs and you're calling jobs, you know what I'm saying to you, that's weird ass behavior. Okay, all right. But yes, as a final footnote, you know, Ashley, please take some time. You know, look, there's no rush for you to come back. You know what I mean? Like, there is no rush for you to come back. I want you to do a little bit more work, just so that when you come back, you're a little bit more accountable. You know what I mean? And when you tell us your story, you're able to tell us from a more healed perspective, you know, in that particular aspect. AD, continue to do what you're doing. I like to see Black people winning. You know what I'm saying to you? Less on the Black folk, okay? All right, less on the Black folk. I know you can say it because you're on a particular platform now and they're running your business, but I want you to be careful. Less on the Black folk, okay? Let's keep it neutral, keep the content. Talk about the people on the show, no problems at all. But let's leave the outside Black folk alone, okay? All right, let's leave them alone, all right? But audience members, we're going to shift ourselves. Listen, in about 8 minutes, Jessie was going to be going live. So we have 600, almost 70 people in this room we had at one point in time. I appreciate all of you who came on to see El Cid, came to see Easton, who came to see Seaway, another round, Sean Davis. Before you guys go anywhere, listen, there's a couple of people who are doing YouTube. I want you guys to follow them. Sean, please, first and foremost, what is your YouTube so they can follow you? Because we need to get you to 1,000 subscribers, and we're going to do it if I have to drag you over that line. Okay, how can they subscribe to your channel?
It's Sean Unfiltered. That's it.
Well, folks, please follow Sean Unfiltered on YouTube as well. Get him over that line of 1,000 subscribers. If you love his content, you love his takes as well, you think he's educated, which he is. He's a politician at heart too. He's a debater. Okay, he's a lover. Okay, as well. And listen, if the ladies out there too want a nice, handsome man who is eloquent, loves the Lord, this is the brother to go for. Okay, all right. I'm taken already. Jesus is my wife, they say. No, I'm joking. But you know what I mean? But follow him on YouTube. He has got YouTube. He will be starting to put some content on there. So make sure you guys go and follow Sean Unfiltered so you can get his unfiltered takes. Another round. Let them know where they can follow you on YouTube as well, please.
You can follow me on Another Round JS here on YouTube.
Around YouTube, thank you. Seaway, where can they follow you? I mean, you're everywhere now, right? At this moment, now you popping. So where can they follow you and support you?
I definitely would appreciate if you guys do follow me on YouTube. It ain't much there, but I am gonna try to do more. on YouTube, and then where if y'all say y'all miss me, I'll tell you where you can find me. Y'all said y'all missed me. I'm on TikTok. That's where I'm at. So yes, please go over there and find my TikTok. It's the same name. It's Seaways World Esquire. It's Seaways World Esquire. That's where I'm at. But I will be on here. So if you guys can support me on both platforms, I appreciate it.
Love that as well. Please follow her on YouTube. El Cid, where can they find you as well on these YouTube streets?
Just like my avatar, Elcid932 on YouTube. That's where they could find me, and from there you'll see my IG.
I love that. Thank you very much. Easy, you got YouTube?
Oh yeah, it's at Primetime Indy. I got like 1 or 2 videos that we growing.
That's my boy. We're family around here. We're trying to grow everybody. You know what I'm saying, G?
Shout out to the chat. Shout out to the chat.
Shout out to the chat, indeed. Well, listen, audience, thank you very much for following us today. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you're following the YouTubers as well. I put them in the chat as well. Please get them up to more subscribers. It's very helpful for the algorithm, but also just to show that you appreciate them, you love what they do. We're going to go now because we've got 5 minutes. Get yourself some snacks, get yourself a juice, prop up, because you know one thing Jessie going to do is entertain us, baby. Okay, all right? Now, I know she's in Paris, but she definitely going to entertain us from all the way from Paris. I don't know if she's back in the US or not, but shoot, I'm ready for her content today.
Are you going over there? Are you gonna be on there, or is just her?
No, I'm not gonna be on there. I'm gonna be watching with y'all. So I'm gonna be in the streets like you guys.
Okay.
All right, audience. You know what? I'm gonna leave you with a wonderful clip. Okay.
Whoa, jail. You're going to jail. Whoa, jail. You're going to jail. Period.
I gotta listen to it one more time before I gotta go. But we're gonna go. Bye, people. I appreciate you. We're gonna leave on this note one more time.
You're going to jail. Whoa, jail. You're going to jail. Whoa, jail. You're going to jail.